Welcome back here with What's Hot on CNBC TV 18. There's more trouble for the Indian Premier League. Today, a meeting between the BCCI and the Home Ministry has remained inconclusive and the deadlock over the IPL dates continues. Meanwhile, there is another legal battle brewing, and this time it's between IPL and Sony, the broadcast partner. And CNBC TV 18 learns some sponsors of the individual teams are having second thoughts to put in money. Harsha.
On What's Hot tonight, we ask, will IPL happen as planned? Joining us, Ayaz Memon, editor-at-large at DNA, Sandeep Bamzai, CEO at sportspower.com. Gentlemen, many thanks for joining us. Ayaz, let me begin with you. That's the question. Will IPL happen as planned? There are problems as far as security. Dates have become an issue. Some sponsors, we understand, are having second thoughts. There are issues from players as well. So, is it going to happen at all?
Well, I'm not a soothsayer, so I really wouldn't know whether it's happened or not. But it's getting extremely difficult now because at one stage it looked like, the IPL would override all these constraints. But it seems increasingly with every passing day that they are getting hemmed in by all kinds of problems. The Home Ministry is a problem. Sponsors and franchises perhaps having second thoughts is another problem. They have a legal wrangle going on with Sony. There's obviously, this is being played out against the backdrop of the general election, so there's obviously a lot of politics at play somewhere, and which is impacting the cricket, which I think is now heading to a stage where seems to be a face-off with or a deadlock with no resolution in sight.
What could the possible resolution be, Sandeep? Because if we actually see no sort of, breakthrough between the BCCI and talks with the Home Ministry, which is where things currently stand, you're pretty much over with IPL too, aren't you?
True. No, I think there's an element of rigidity which is being followed or pursued by both sides. I think both the IPL organizers and the MHA need to be a little more flexible. I can't, for the life of me, understand why the IPL organizers went back with a revised schedule, which is more or less the same as what it was. I think you will ultimately, given that time's running out, you will have to have a truncated tournament. My sense is that the tournament will probably end up in two parts. You will have two pools. I don't see this home and away business. I don't see a 44-day jamboree. I see two pools, 4 teams on each side, on either side. Semi-finals and a final. Okay. So my sense is the semi-finals and the final will take place in phase 2 and the pools to play out in the first half. And I think the matches will have to be taken to smaller venues which can be secured, which can be sanitized.
Places like Dharamshala.
Well, Dharamshala is being talked about, Indore is another one, Raipur is being talked about, Gwalior is being talked about. See, most of these centers have floodlights. Most of these centers have good hospitality. So I don't see what the problem is. Yes, gate receipts will be an issue.
But it's better than no receipts.
Absolutely. Yeah. On-ground sponsorship will be an issue. But we need to now understand that given it's D-25 since April 10 was the original date of launch, and there is a failure to launch, then we need to understand that everybody is going to take a hit financially. So now they need to work within the boundaries that exist. And I think rigidity should be thrown out of the window and flexibility should be the way forward.
Ayaz, you want to come in on that? The point of being that smaller venues perhaps could be the plan B for this?
Look, I really don't believe that the venues are going to be the big issue because the elections are going to be held everywhere all over the country. It's how you fit the dates in with the election dates. And also the two-stage formula, while it seems like the solution, might be actually impractical because there is no window open for players, especially foreign players, to come in and participate. The Futures Tour program of the ICC is, chock-a-block, is jam-packed. And you can't say that some players should come in May and they might be having other commitments. Already the leading Australians have pulled out for security reasons. Guys like Peterson are having second thoughts. So to ask the players to come back might be very, if they can pull it off, it will be magic. But I think I agree with Sandeep that perhaps a truncated tournament, no home and away, one-off matches between teams, perhaps is the solution, but it will be a very watered-down, diluted kind of a program,
Watered-down program, truncated IPL. Yeah. How much of this has to do with politics, Sandeep? Because that's what both Ayaz and you have been alluding to.
Well, somewhere, if you look at the way this thing has unraveled itself, there is a Sharad Pawar factor somewhere. And I'm pretty much clear about that. If you look at Mr. Pawar's pronouncements on Marathi Manus should become the Prime Minister. And then suddenly you have Jayanti Natarajan, the Congress spokesperson, saying that there is no vacancy for the top job.
Right.
So I also feel that these pulls and pressures are working on keeping Mr. Pawar in check. Remember that there is an alliance. See, the poll arithmetic in this country has changed. Unlike the past where Uttar Pradesh was the dominant state with now 80 seats and Bihar was the second biggest with 50. With the creation of Jharkhand, strangely Maharashtra has been propelled to the front. And Maharashtra now has 48 seats, which makes it the second most populous and most representative state in the parliament. So I think Mr. Pawar's role in Maharashtra politics is also a factor here. And strangely, I don't see anybody writing about it. And strangely, I don't see anybody talking about it.
Okay, we've just spoken about it on WhatsApp. All right, Sandeep, many thanks for joining us. Ayaz, many thanks for joining us. Well, we'll keep you updated on the future of the IPL. We hope that it does certainly.